Will the Longhorns bounce back against the hated Arkansas Razorbacks, or will this season take another tumble? Let's preview Texas and Arkansas with the host of Locked On Razorbacks. That's next on Locked On Longhorns. Intro.
You are Locked On Longhorns, your daily podcast on the Texas Longhorns. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. You are locked on to the Texas Longhorns, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. I'm your host, BK Brad Kellner, Texas grad, Austin local, and longtime sports radio host here in the Lone Star State. Thank you, everydayers, for making Locked On Longhorns your first listen every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. If you're looking for tickets to Texas and Arkansas, the place to get them is on Game Time. Without further ado, our crossover episode with John Nabors of Locked On Razorbacks. It's Texas and Arkansas, an old Southwest Conference rivalry renewed in the Southeastern Conference. We're previewing tomorrow's game right now. Alongside John Nabors of Locked On Razorbacks, I am BK Brad Kellner with Locked On Longhorns. John, it hasn't been the year that either fan base would have wanted. I'm just curious. I know how much Arkansas hates Texas, but with the way this season has gone downhill for the Razorbacks, do Hogs fans even care about beating Texas, or is everybody so focused on the new coach and what's going to happen in 2026?
Yeah, well, first off, I just love the fact that it's like, the season had gone great for, either team, while Texas is sitting at 17th in the country, 7-3 overall, and Arkansas would love to be in that. Instead, they're 2-8, 0-6 in conference play, and have lost every conference game by just one single possession. So, yeah, it's totally the same boat both of these teams are in. But still, no, it's a thing to where Arkansas fans, because of how the season's gone, they're checked out because they just want it to be over with and get to the coaching search. Like, that's the thing. However, it would just be really funny if they beat Texas. It's like one of those things they're going to watch. People are going to watch the game. They're going to be interested in it. I'm sure it'll end in a one-score possession loss like it always does for Arkansas. But I think overall, fans would just be having something nice, at least during the interim era of Bobby Petrino, to have. A win over Texas on the road would be a nice little gesture.
Yeah, I think I know the answer to this question, but is there a chance Bobby Petrino gets this job if he beats Texas on Saturday, or is that ship long sailed?
I think it's sailed, but beating Texas, because there's a lot of people that still want Bobby, even after this start and even after this deal. And I'll admit, I was one of those that wanted Bobby at least to be in serious contention when he was named as interim, because I'm a huge Bobby Petrino fan, was when he was at Arkansas originally. But you just can't hire the guy permanently if he goes 0-7, even though they've been better, even though they've been in these games. I mean, they gave A&M all that they wanted. But at the end of the day, we can't go 0-7 and then just get everybody excited about it. So the people who really want Bobby, if they beat Texas, it would definitely add some energy to their argument. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, if you beat Texas on the road, now you just got to give Bobby the job. I'm just not going to be that.
Yeah, you talked about it. Arkansas is 2-8. They may be the most dangerous 2-8 team of all time. You guys are on the Mount Rushmore of moral victories this year. 6 losses in SEC play, 5 of them by 1 score. The other one was by 9 points to Auburn. That was a game the Razorbacks led going into the fourth quarter, and it was only a 2-possession game because Auburn kicked a garbage time field goal at the very end. What's been going on? I mean, we'll start with the bad, I guess, then we'll get to the good. But why have the Hogs been unable to win any of these close games?
Dude, there needs to be a scientific study on this team and everything, because as I mentioned, A&M's undefeated. And as weird as it is, I think some Razorback fans may even root for Texas over Texas A&M when you guys play, for what that's worth. I don't know. But either way, A&M's undefeated. And Arkansas was at home. It was a stormy game. And they gave them all that they wanted. And everyone's like, dude, look at this. This is, we go on the road to Tennessee and lost by a field goal and, moral victories and all. But still, like, we could beat Auburn. We could beat Mississippi State. We could do this. But it's like Arkansas looks at the opposing team and says, all right, how good is our opposing team? Are they up here? Well, we're going to play right here. Or are they down here? Well, we're still going to play right here. It's like, whatever it is, they're going to play just a little bit worse. And that's what's been the frustrating thing and I got to give credit to Bobby Petrino and the team. They haven't given up. I don't know how they haven't. I would have given up. It's just, You've done a good job with that. But mistakes, turnovers, missed field goals, it's always just one or two things. It's never the same thing. It's just one or two things that ends up losing these games. And that's why it's like, against Texas, why would it be anything different? Why would it be anything different between these two teams?
Yeah, I think the biggest on paper statistical difference between these teams is the turnovers, right? Arkansas second to last in the country in turnover margin. Texas has done a good job protecting the football on offense. They've been opportunistic on defense. Is it as simple as, man, if Arkansas just had like 3 or 4 less turnovers, they'd have a couple of wins in SEC play?
Yes. It's like, yeah. It's one of those things to where you can say also the same about penalties. They had like 18 penalties against Mississippi State. If they had one less, they probably win. Like that's how small the margin of error has been for this team. But if it happens as often as it has, you start to think, okay, it isn't just a coin flip. It isn't just hey, bad luck. There's just a lack of a winning mentality about this team. And it's something to where I wouldn't surprise me at all if Arkansas and Texas is in a dogfight and Arkansas's right there, and they're down by 1 point, and they got to kick a 27-yard field goal to win, and they miss it. It's just because that's what it is. No matter what it is, it's going to happen for Arkansas right now.
I think the one thing y'all haven't done yet is lose in overtime. So maybe that finally happens.
There we go.
That's your new way to invent a loss this weekend. I know Texas fans are hoping this game gets nowhere close to that. I want to ask you about Taylon Green. Obviously, Longhorn fans got to see him last year. He's one of the most electric playmakers in the conference with his legs. If you take away his sack yardage, he's averaging 9 yards a carry. He's a total weapon. Obviously, though, with his arm, he's hot and cold. He's got 10 interceptions this year. I mean, he will throw you the football. What makes Taylon Green such a tough guard, and why has he been so up and down throughout his Arkansas career?
It's all in the head, man. It's just a mental thing. I compare him to a home run hitter who gets a lot of strikeouts. Like when he hits home runs, man, it's fun. Like he's extremely gifted. He's 6'6". He could outrun so many different players defensively, and he can beat you with his legs, and he can make some plays that just wow you. But then the very next possession, he will be looking at one wide receiver for 4 seconds in triple coverage and just still make the throw. And you're like, what? How? Like, what did you even see? So it's frustrating. And it's just a matter of you got to mix good with bad. And does the good in a game outweigh the bad? It's what you're hoping for. So I think that he's definitely improved his game from a year ago, but there's ways to stop him. And all you got to do is just get him to have that one first mistake. Because that's what it seems like. That first bad throw, that first strip sack, that whatever it is, big hit, he starts to fold a little bit. So it's frustrating. And I think that's why Razorback fans, they don't really know how to feel about Taylon Green. They love him, but they hate him at times. It's tough. But, the quarterback situation with Texas, I know has been an interesting one this year anyways. So if they need, though, a little bit of boost of confidence, this Razorback defense hasn't been great. And maybe this is what they need.
Yeah, well, diving into some of these matchups, right? I'm curious to get your thoughts. Obviously, you're locked in on Arkansas, but I know you've watched some Texas leading up to this game. Statistically, Arkansas has a pretty good offense. Number 3 in the SEC in total yards, number 6 in points per game. They're very explosive, but obviously the Texas defense does a lot of things right, and they're really good at stopping the run, which I know has been a big key for the Hogs offense all season long. What are your thoughts on the matchup against Bobby Petrino's offense and Pete Kwiatkowski's Texas defense?
I'll be honest. I think Bobby Petrino's offense has done awesome this year, statistically speaking. I think that it may have wavered here recently, but there was a time just a week or so ago where Arkansas had the number 3 passer, the number 3 rusher, and the number 3 wide receiver, as well as having the second sack leader in the SEC. So it's like, hey, you think of these things. How is this team 2-8? Well, we all ask that same question, but I think that it's a matter of this Texas defense has dudes. They just have dudes, and it's going to be a struggle for Arkansas. I think that the offense, Bobby may have a great scheme. I think he'll have some good play calls. It may even be something that Arkansas starts off fairly strong offensively, but once Texas settles in, they're going to cause problems. If they get after Taylon Green, as I mentioned, all it takes is one mistake, and it might be curtains. It could be as quickly as that. So I think Texas has definitely the better defense. I think they're going to really cause some problems for Arkansas. But, at the same time, it's like to look at Texas defense past few games. I'm like, well, maybe there's something there that has been exploited and Bobby Petrino can find a way. So talent-wise, Texas definitely has the advantage. But I know Texas's defense seems to have been struggling over the past few weeks.
Yeah, last question for this opening crossover segment. What about the Arkansas offensive line, right? I mean, Texas's strength on defense is up front. You're right. They've been leaky in the secondary recently. Georgia and Vanderbilt both outscored Texas 21-0 in the fourth quarter of those games. Vanderbilt did it to come back. Georgia did it to run away. But the Texas D-line has been great. Pass rushing and against the run. Can the Hogs O-line hold up this weekend?
Decently enough. I think Texas, again, since that's their strength, I don't think once they run into the Arkansas offensive line, that's suddenly when they're going to be like, oh man, what do we do here? Arkansas has a decent offensive line. It's not elite level, but it's not terrible. There's been times that they've had, some breakdowns and whatnot, but it's when you go up against a matchup like this, it's the worrisome deal. And there's no doubt, as I've always said, especially in the SEC in defense, if you have an elite defensive line, you can have an average linebacker core and an average secondary, and you'll have a great defense because it's just so disruptive. And again, I think Arkansas can find some success. I think Petrino's probably going to know that and have whether it's some certain screen passes or certain things to kind of alleviate that. But at the end of the day, if they get to Taylon Green and if they can't offset the run with Mike Washington, it just may be a long day for the Razorback offense.
Yeah. All right. We'll flip the script. We'll talk about the Texas offense against the Razorback defense in a moment. We'll also give some game score predictions as well. Talk a little bit about this rivalry too. That's all coming up next on a crossover here on Locked On Longhorns and Locked On Razorbacks.
Hey, Razorback fans, as well as all you Longhorn fans out there, we know that it is still in full swing for the college football season, and FanDuel, there's no better place to get in on the action than the official sports betting partner of not only the NBA, but the NFL as well. And even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride any hot hands, this is the way to do it. Arkansas is, I believe at this point in time, 8.5-point underdogs. And you know what? I'm probably going to take the Razorbacks because those one possession losses, they just love so much. So could be really interesting. But if you're a Longhorn fan, that this is the time you're just going to squash an inferior opponent, may want to get in on that line. Or if you're a Razorback fan that wants to win money and say, hey, we almost always win, then that's the way you need to do it with the Razorbacks. But if you're going to do it, make sure you do it with FanDuel. And they're giving away new customers to $300 in bonus bets, where if your first $5 bet wins, you get $300. It's as simple as that. So head over to FanDuel.com and sign up today with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
All right, back here, crossover episode, Locked On Longhorns, Locked On Razorbacks. John Nabors, Brad Kellner with you, talking Texas and Arkansas, of course, coming up tomorrow afternoon in Austin. All right, John, spent a lot of time in our first segment talking about the Arkansas offense. Statistically speaking, the Hogs offense is pretty good. Statistically speaking, the Hogs defense is about as bad as you could be. They rank last or second to last in the SEC in pretty much every major statistical category. Do they do anything well, or is it just bad at all three levels for them?
It's so weird where it goes back to the whole indication of this team where they'll do some things right in one game and you're like, hey, maybe they figured something out. Maybe they found something with the pass rush. And then the next game, they won't have a single person in the backfield on the D-line and the quarterback stays upright the whole time. There'll be times the secondary makes some plays on the ball. Like, wow, okay, so maybe they're starting to feed in. They got the rotations figured out. But then the next game, they will get just burnt for 500 yards passing. It's just there's no consistency, no rhyme or reason to it. And it makes it so weird because I'd like to sit here and say, well, the one strength of this team is this or that. But it's not really there. I guess the one redeeming quality would be Quincy Rhodes, the defensive end, who I believe is second in the SEC in sacks and may have just played his way into a possible first-round draft pick. I've seen some NFL mock drafts have him there. He's been really good for Arkansas, but besides that, there really has not been any sort of consistency or anything that's made sense. So they don't have a whole lot of NFL talent caliber guys. They have some okay players. Quincy Rhodes might be that, but other than that, it's just bend, not break, do the best you can, and hopefully somebody makes a bad pass to where you can take advantage of it.
Yeah. What do you make of this Texas offense? I would love the Longhorn rushing attack to get going against Arkansas's run defense, which ranks 15th in the SEC, but Texas played Mississippi State, who ranks dead last in the conference in rushing, and the Longhorns ran it 32 times for 72 yards. So it doesn't matter who they're going up against. They've struggled to run the football. Arch Manning's gotten better over the last few weeks. He's really done a good job protecting the football. I know he did have an interception against Georgia, but he's really cleaned up his game. But is there anything on the Texas offense that worries you in particular going into tomorrow?
It's just going to be about the physicality of a team that can possibly overpower Arkansas, which, again, I'm not sitting here saying that Texas has the most physical team. You mentioned the rushing attack and how it struggled a little bit, but it's a matter of as the game goes on. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Arkansas found some success defensively early against Texas. Maybe they even caused a turnover. Maybe there was a couple 3-and-outs. Like that's happened. It's not impossible, but it's a matter of as the game wears on. And if Arkansas can't do anything offensively to help the defense, then defense is going to wear down really quickly. They don't have depth. They just do not have depth, especially up front on the D-line. They have some solid players, but if you get into that fourth quarter and the defense has already been out there longer than the offense, and you start to see some just big plays here and there, I think the breakdown could be on, and it could cause some problems for Arkansas. So it's just a matter of, can Texas do enough to keep the game within arm's reach and then just wear down that defense? And if they do get the run game going against Arkansas, they're gonna make quick work of them. It's that type of level.
Now, John, you said something a few minutes ago that kind of shocked me, honestly. You said there might be some Razorback fans who root for the Longhorns next Friday against Texas A&M. Like, what's that about, man? I always thought, I know these teams were in separate conferences for a long time, but I always thought Arkansas hated the Texas Longhorns more than anybody or anything in the world. Has some of that hate maybe dissipated over the years? Like, what's up with that?
I don't think it's dissipated over the years, and I don't speak for every Razorback fan because there's probably some that'll still root against Texas. I'm just saying that Arkansas hates both Texas and Texas A&M, and they probably hate Texas more than Texas A&M. However, sometimes what's the old adage, like the greatest friend that you have is the enemy of your enemy, or something to that extent. It could be like that level, because no one wants to see Texas A&M in the playoff. No one wants to see them go to the SEC title game. Like, no one wants to watch that. So if Texas is already out of it, Razorback fans can be like, all right, well, maybe we'll just root for Texas. So that way, neither team goes in, because that's best of all worlds. But I don't know if that's the case. I don't know how many people are even going to care at that point from Arkansas, but who knows? Maybe there's some that's rooting for the Longhorns over the Aggies.
Yeah, I think if we want the Aggies out of the playoff, which, don't get me wrong, we do too, we're going to need Samford to pull off the upset of all upsets tomorrow. And I got a hard time thinking that's going to happen. All right, John, last question. How about a game score prediction? As you mentioned, Texas currently an 8.5-point favorite. The Longhorns actually opened up as a 10.5-point favorite. And I think people realize that, well, all Arkansas does is play one-score games. I'm very intrigued to see the motivation level for both teams, right? Like, Texas was not done any favors by the College Football Playoff Committee. Seems like a very uphill battle for them to make the field of 12 at this point. Obviously, the Arkansas fans, I mean, you told me what they're thinking right now. You think this game is close, or is this the game where it all totally falls apart for the Razorbacks?
Well, here's the deal. I think it could be the game that it all falls apart. But until I see it, I'm not going to predict it, because it's just, again, this team – I thought it could have been against LSU. It didn't happen that way. It just seems like they're still fighting for something, and you got to give them a lot of credit. But I think I saw that Texas is averaging 27 points a game, something to that extent, which is kind of close to last, not dead last, but close to last in the SEC. But Arkansas is also a defense that is dead last in the SEC by far when it comes up to how many points they give up per game. So it's just a little bit of a weird conundrum there. I'll say this, though. I think Arkansas, once again, keeps it close, because I think they, for whatever reason, they're always going to play a little bit harder against Texas regardless. I think that Arkansas and Texas last year was a closer game than what it should have been. I know it's down there in Austin. And I think that, Texas, who knows, maybe they're overlooking Arkansas to go against the Aggies. Maybe that'll happen. But I think it's close. I still think Arkansas loses. I don't think either teams look great in this one, especially offensively. So I'll say Arkansas loses this one by a final score of, let's do something stupid like 26-22. Just something gross like that. 26-22.
That sounds gross. Yeah, you and I chopped it up in Atlanta for SEC Media Days, and you said you wouldn't respect Texas if they lost to Arkansas this year. So I'm holding you to that take.
They need to fire Steve Sarkisian if they lose this game. Just saying.
God, some fans are already ready to do that. I'm going to go Texas 31, Arkansas 24. I'm with you. I think the Hogs cover. I think this is a one-score game because that's what y'all do. I'm worried about Anthony Hill not playing for Texas. This defense has been vulnerable. Part of me thinks 24 is not enough for the Hogs, but I think Texas finds a way to protect home field. They've been a lot better at home than on the road this season, and I think that sets up a very exciting matchup with Texas A&M on Black Friday. All right, he's John Nabors. If you don't follow him already, be sure to do so. You can find him on Twitter at John Nabors Show. Of course, subscribe to Locked On Razorbacks on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. I'm BK Brad Kellner. Subscribe, like, share, all of those great things. We all appreciate y'all's continued support of what we are building here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Y'all enjoy the game. John, this was fun, man. Thanks so much for doing this.
Anytime. Enjoy the game, man. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Likewise. All right, that'll do it for us. We'll talk to y'all soon. This is Locked On Longhorns and Locked On Razorbacks. But before we go, a quick word for my friends at Doer Jeans. These are the most comfortable pair of pants that I own. I'm actually wearing them right now. They are my go-to pair of jeans for the fall. And I'm telling y'all, once you try these, you're not going to go back to other pants that you have been wearing in the past. Doer is the best of both worlds. They combine that classic jeanswear style with the comfort and performance that you get from athletic wear. I don't know how they found a way to do it, but they found a way to do it. It really is the best of both worlds. You can look great and stay comfortable all day long, no matter what you are doing. Doer jeans have 5 times the stretch of traditional denim. They feel stretchy, but they don't look stretchy. You can dress these up. You can dress these down. You can be comfortable all year long when you wear Doer jeans. It's the most comfortable pair of pants without having to sacrifice style. I'm telling y'all, once you try these, they will become your go-to. Get a pair for yourself. They also make for an amazing holiday gift as well. Head to shopdoer.com/LockedOnLonghorns. You're going to get 15% off your first order. shopdoer.com/LockedOnLonghorns for 15% off. Again, shopdoer.com/LockedOnLonghorns.